So I'm still working with it. Okay.
We are live. I want to feature another incredible carnivore testimonial and transformation. So let me first welcome my guest, Eric at Keto 50. Welcome. How did you find carnivore?
How did I find carnivore? Well, like everybody else, like probably like Paul Saladino, Ken Berry, Sean Baker, the typical, you know, wanted people, as they say. I found right before COVID, I found all of them, even in Mercola, and guys like that. And then once COVID hit and they started getting censored, I'm like, well, what? They were onto something with metabolic health, and I kept going, and of course, Carnivore Code book by Saladino, and that was it. I read that, and I'm like, I can give up vegetables. This is awesome.
Wow. Amazing. Now, how long have you been carnivore so far?
So now it's been 5 years. I retired from police work 2019 and started just eating steak, eggs and cheese and,
Yeah.
all the good stuff, and lost another 25 pounds, 20 or so pounds from the previous 50 of keto. And I felt great. My mind got better. Obviously my ketones are firing, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden the world shut down. It was like, oh, let's get our truck and trailer. Let's hit the road. We're already homeschooling. And then our life changed, from hitting the road. So,
Now, before I get into the details of your transformation and what you've learned along your experience, I really wanted to share with you guys that today's focus is all about kind of cleaning up the diet a little bit and exploring some modalities that I really want you guys to know about. So, the last live stream, I actually touched a lot on the lion diet. And Eric, do you know what a lion diet is?
yes.
Okay. A lion diet, I would say, is the strictest form of a carnivore diet, which means what is lion, firstly? Beef, lamb, salt, and water. I see a lot of people in the community or people who just come to these live streams share with me, Bella, I have not been able to heal everything I healed until I restricted a little bit further, took it a step further, and went lion. Another perspective is somebody who was doing keto or ketovore for a very long time, not getting results, no healing, no weight loss that they wanted to achieve. And then they go from keto into a clean carnivore diet. And that was all the difference that they needed to do was just go from keto to carnivore. And I'm wondering if you experienced something similar like this, Eric.
Yeah, I think if I were to lay off dairy, I'd probably get a little leaner and probably drop a little bit more of the loose skin, and get more of the I do have some other issues from heavy metals and toxins and all kinds of stuff I'm still trying to get out of my body. So I think my body would operate a little bit more efficiently without some of the heavy creams and the dairy. So yeah, definitely. If I went the lion diet, it would be a lot more strict. But I got to be able, I got growing boys right now. So the ribeyes are expensive. So I can't eat ribeyes and butter and salt every day, I mean, I have to make it
Right.
work with ground beef. You know how it is, the hustle.
I I know. So what are your tips to save money and stay under a certain budget as a carnivore?
Well, we use our discounts that we can get, whether it's affiliate or use somebody else's affiliate code and try to get and buy in bulk. We use a very pretty famous grass-fed beef farm that has a military discount. We take advantage of that when we buy in bulk, and then we're able to break it down per pound for about $9 a pound for grass-fed ground beef. And, it's not ribeyes, but sometimes you can knock that down too. And then obviously we make our own sourdough bread. My wife does. She's more of a ketovore, along with my children. And
Yeah.
farmers markets, make friends with farms, go help the farmers out. We pay a ton for eggs, so we make friends with chicken farmers and, help them out. My boys are young enough to work chicken coops and get some free eggs, right? So
Yes, that's amazing. Now let me just double check the sound here. Lindy, does this sound feel a little bit crackly when Eric speaks? Just a little bit extra crackly? Why don't you try pushing away your microphone, Eric, just a little bit further?
how about
Yeah,
this? A little
perfect.
bit better here.
I think that's better. I do think
Maybe
that's
it's the
better.
bass in my voice. All my testosterone went up since I've been on carnivore. So
So much energy, you can't contain it. I get it. I get it. All right. Well, we have our first question, and we are taking questions, Eric and I, to help all of you out, whether or not you're new to carnivore. advanced, experienced, years and years in. Whatever questions you want to ask both of us, drop it in the live chat. This is the whole appeal and beauty of live streams. We can interact with all of you guys. So capital Q, type your question. We'll start answering questions together. Izzy says, how much beef do you eat? It seems that carnivores or women carnivores I follow eat more than the men. Is there a hormonal reason for this? Most women seem to eat 2 pounds of beef per day. I'll take this first, and I would also love your thoughts after, Eric. So I eat anywhere from, I don't know, like 2 pounds to 3 pounds of meat these days. Okay.
You
And
crush it. I see it all the time. You're eating more than I'm eating. It's
yes,
crazy.
you already know. Yes. And I met you in person. I don't know if you maybe saw me eating when I was at the event, but when I sit down to eat anything, I do not restrict. I have a very healthy appetite that I am very proud of. And I can actually eat 2 pounds of meat in one sitting, no problem. I did that last night. I went to a Brazilian steakhouse. Some days I will need 3 pounds of meat. How is this possible? Well, firstly, I'm 5'10", which is 178 centimeters. And I think that's considered maybe on the taller end for a woman. And so, because I am taller and I'm also young and I am moving a lot, like I just came back from a nice long walk with Aspen. He had a bit of a disaster, and I'm moving a lot. I need the food, I need the fuel. So I will never ever tell people you need to eat 3 pounds of meat just like me if you want to have my results. That's just not possible because we're different heights. You're going to be a different, part of your journey from me. Like you might want to heal, whereas I'm already done healing. But long story short, I eat anywhere from 2 to 3 pounds of meat. 3 pounds are the days where I'm working out, where my period is coming, and yes, I do agree with you, Izzy. I do notice that the women in the carnivore community, they know how to eat and they typically eat a lot. And yes, more than the men. So what are your thoughts on this, Eric?
Well, I know I probably eat about 2 pounds and throw in a bunch of eggs and and some cheeses and stuff like that. That's pretty simple. My wife can't handle as much because of the fat. It depends on how fatty some of the food is because she's still coming from Mediterranean, Middle Eastern. She's from Uzbekistan and Turkish, so there's this heavy carb diet that they're so used to. So she's still shocked. She's like, "Oh my god, I feel so much better without the grains." I'm like, "See." But
Wow.
so it's
Yeah.
been she doesn't crush the meat, but she can crush certain kinds of meat easier than others, and I just think that's the upbringing,
Yeah.
like I can eat the meat raw. She's a little bit more of a cooked meat person.
Nice. So I want to know from all of you guys watching, comment it please. How many pounds of meat in general do you typically eat per day? Would love to see the amounts in the chat and in the comment section. Let's keep going to Derek. Welcome, Derek. Thank you so much for the question. I've been on a carnivore diet for 2 weeks now. I'm taking the Salt brand supplement, but I'm experiencing bloating and I can feel it in my chest area. Is this normal as I transition? I'll have you take it first, Eric. Have you ever struggled with bloating, digestion when going carnivore?
Just there is a change in the diet, that happens when you go carnivore. Your stomach bio is changing, and there's a little fight going on. The plant people are losing in your stomach, and now the meat people are coming in, right? And it leads to an old saying, you can't trust a fart, right? And I felt a lot of that going on. I felt my body almost purging, probably the oxalates and everything else getting out of my system. And yeah, I felt a little of that. Now the chest area, I don't know too much about that. I stayed pretty active, you know, I'm pretty active like you are. I'm always moving. So I don't know how much activity you're having, or maybe it's just the energy you're having from ketones, or I don't know. I'm not sure really. I'd be worried about the chest stuff is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, for sure. Derek, some troubleshooting tips and tricks here. If you're experiencing bloating after being carnivore for 2 weeks, I wonder if maybe you are eating dairy that's pasteurized because one of the top foods that bloat and cause gas and indigestion, distension of our belly is just low quality pasteurized dairy. It's just hard to digest and absorb. Some people can digest it just fine. They have very strong digestion, but the more sensitive carnivores that I see a lot, and a lot of those are working with me in the Steak and Butter Gang or in the Dr. Bright group that I'm running. So I understand just how maybe reactive people can be to pasteurized dairy. So that's my question for you to focus on. Are you having any type of pasteurized dairy? And if you are, cut it out.
One of the
Yeah,
things I would say is a lot of those creamers and stuff people lean on have a lot of other ingredients in there that'll go right through you. So double check what you're drinking and eating.
that exactly. All right, let's keep going. This is from Alyssa Missy. Do you feel a difference eating grass fed versus conventional beef, Eric?
I do, only because I'm trying to limit my inflammation, going on with my body. I'm very strict with what's going on. I know we're not getting into it, but having a super high calcium score, I'm really paying attention what's going on with my body. I'm over 5,000. So I'm working with Dr. Ovadia and we're trying to figure out what's going on. So I really eat lean, not lean, I'm sorry, the grass fed beef all the time. And when I go, if I happen to go out to eat with somebody, I totally can feel the difference. Even if I tell them don't cook it in seed oils, it's maybe the way it's prepped. So I can feel it because I'm so pure, I think is one of the reasons why.
Yeah. And then I wanted to show off your photos. Now is a perfect time if you're ready to just do
Uh-oh.
some storytelling. Yes. Okay. So, what is going on in these photos? This is amazing.
Yeah, so I was telling her earlier in the show, the ball headed look right there. That's from a documentary in 2017 called Cops and Cabins, where they put us up in the mountains in Blue Ridge. And it was kind of like decompress. We didn't know each other. Like, what's going on? Why are we feeling the way we are? And it was one of the most impactful thing I've ever went through. But they did a documentary on it. And looking at it in 2017, I was in real trouble. It was about 245 pounds, severely depressed because we didn't get into it, but I was in a shooting in 2012 where I was shot by a bank robber and we shot and killed him. It's pretty exciting. It's on YouTube if you ever want to get your heart rate up. But I went through a lot of trauma from it, trying to get through it. And obviously you see the fat guy up there sitting down. That's around 27 or 2018. You can see my legs are all fat. Doctors weren't telling me I was diabetic. I'm pretty sure I was at that point, and until keto, I met a guy playing basketball and he told me about ketogenic. I thought it was some type of martial arts stuff. And I read up on it and I found a ketogenic group on Facebook and started seeing the results of people and I was hooked. And 6 months later, 50 pounds. And, obviously a year and a half later after carnivore, 80 pounds later, and now I'm 175 pounds, man. It's insane. I can't believe I'm eighth grade again.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible. Wow, you have come such a long way. The photos are just always so nice to show off and see. Wow. Do you do any type of specific workouts to maintain muscle mass or to build muscle mass?
Man, I'm a resistance training fool. Ever since I talked to Dr. Ben at one of the low carb events, and really
Okay.
understanding the way my body and how bad my core was. I really, even though I was basketball and football type player, softball, my core was pretty weak. And once I started working on the core and doing more handstands, calisthenics, pull ups, I saw my body change and saw abs. So now I just do a lot of resistance training. I want to get old and I want to be able to touch my toes. I want to survive a fall and I want to be able to run out of a situation that I need to get away from. It's just, it's the cop mentality, and, I'm an
Mm,
example to my kids. I have a 13 and 9-year-old sons. And even though I'm approaching 56, I got to fool them and let them, sometimes I feel it, but most of the time, they keep me young. So I got to have this, persona, I mean, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life and I'm in the oldest part of my life. It's really kind of crazy.
oh, good for you. Let's keep going. This is Craig wanting to ask about tips for going carnivore and sticking to it with ADHD. Any thoughts?
Coffee.
Ooh, I love how quickly you said that. Why did you say that?
Because I think I've suffered from it. I mean, I was a child of the 70s, right, in the 80s, so they didn't call it that then. I mean, I'm shaking right now. I could be standing if I'd stay in frame. And I got me a little something right here that's coffee. It's just something I think it helps regulate me for some reason with the caffeine and it brings me back to night patrol. It calms me down for some reason, and I'm able to skip a meal with coffee at times, and stay in a fast longer. So it's worked for me, but I haven't been diagnosed with ADHD. My kids kind of have it, but we run them like a dog. Got to exercise them,
Yeah,
right?
that is actually so fascinating that you said coffee for calming down the ADHD because I thought you said coffee because of the opposite. It triggers it. It creates more of it. It creates more unease and antsiness and jitteriness because that's the typical response. And so everyone watching, do chime in on this really cool topic. When you have coffee or caffeine of any sort, do you feel calm like Eric and you can focus? Or do you feel a little bit frantic and jittery and skittish and you can't really focus? The opposite. I'd love to see the split. Okay, now you've got me thinking about
Uh-oh.
what I when I have coffee. I actually have to say I'm kind of leaning more on the side that you are, where when I have my caffeine, I feel joy, I feel stable, and I feel like I can absolutely conquer the day and be
Yeah.
very efficient. But my caveat is just one little tiny rule. I only have my caffeine after my breakfast. Okay. It really makes a huge difference for me when I have coffee after breakfast versus on an empty stomach. If I had coffee on an empty stomach, I would be jittery. I would not be able to focus. I would be all over the place. When I have it after breakfast, it's life changing, but I get all the benefits without the cons. Okay.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I know it's very interesting. Life changing. Learned it from Coach Raymond. Let's
What
keep
time do you
going.
eat breakfast though? I don't eat breakfast, so I have lunch at like 1, so I'd have to make a complete flip flop or something, you know.
I know, and I am willing to bet that making that flip-flop and being intentional about it is actually going to be quite just eye-opening of an experience. If it's not something that sticks for you, it would be really interesting to just see how it affects your energy, Eric, and your routine.
My wife
But
has your build. My wife might
yeah,
have success with this because it seems to be working for you. So I'll mention it to her for sure.
I would definitely say women do better with this trick because our hormones need to have high fat carnivore food to start the day. Our hormones really thrive with
Especially if
some
you're
type of
premenopausal, right? You probably need. See this,
yeah.
honey? She's gonna see this, and now I can say it.
um there's nothing wrong with being perimenopausal, menopausal, menstruating, postmenopausal. It's what it's like to be a woman. We just have to embrace it, but also support it with the right foods. And so I see so many women literally every day in the meetings that I do now with Dr. Bright, they start eating more fat, benefits start rolling in. Whether it's less hot flashes, whether it's less outbursts of irritation at their
Right.
kids or at their husbands, or maybe it's just weight loss and hair growth. I think
Yeah.
it's something worth experimenting with. And so, I actually packaged this video to be you don't know the results that you can get until you go strict carnivore. Why is strict carnivore so effective? And why not halfway carnivore, ketovore? I personally will always root and support a strict carnivore approach because you just don't know how much inflammation you are living with, okay, until you cut it all out. And so you do have to be strict carnivore. And if you feel like you can go back to ketovore or animal based, then that's up to you. But I feel like experiencing strict carnivore for 30 days at least is definitely something everybody should try to do. Okay, so let's keep going with the questions. Boone,
All
what
right.
are your meal diversities look like daily? Is it a bunch of different cuts of meats, or do you eat anything else to supplement lacking nutrients? You go first.
I eat twice a day, and usually the first round is a bunch of eggs and leftover meat, probably from the night before. And we're camping a lot, so a lot of burgers, and we do salmon. We'll do a lot of like organic, handmade sausages that we get from a local guy that makes them and stuff like that. But cheeses. I'm very simple. I no longer eat to enjoy it as much as I used to, even though I do enjoy it. But it's not. I don't have that love relationship with food, that I used to have. And I understand I got other things to do. So sometimes I eat
Mhm.
standing up. I'm done, and my wife's like, "Oh, I got to sit down." I'm like, "Nah, I'm done. I got, we're going outside. We're
Yeah,
moving around." But
yeah.
some of the supplements I do take, I am taking Lumbro. That's the earthworm supplement above natto, to try and help with some I got a lot of things going on. Vikings, that's the it's called Dupuytren's, which is a lot of like stuff that makes your fingers bend forward. It has to do with
Oh, I've heard of it.
calcium. So it's
Yes.
fibrosis on some level. So I'm trying to do that. I take the liver supplements, to try and help me with, some of the stuff going on with my, you know,
Mm.
just trying to keep the organs in there somehow. So I'm doing the supplements. That's the only thing I'm taking though. I'm not on any other medications or stuff like that.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad you're finding what works for you and what will support your healing goals. I have heard of that condition. We have had a handful of members with that. And I just remember in one of a victory call that I host in the community, somebody reported that their Dupuytren's, that's what it's called, right? Dupuytren's?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dupuytren's.
Dupuytren's got better and with a carnivore diet. So there's just immense hope, so much hope for healing literally anything you guys want. Okay. So we love cheering you guys on and giving you guys success stories just like this today with Keto 50 Eric. Let's keep going. Common sense. I've been eating carnivore for 2 weeks. I give myself an hour window to eat every day. I thought it would be difficult, but that hour of eating meat is enough to satisfy me. Could this be a bad thing? I'll take this. Welcome, common sense. So if you're eating in a 1 hour eating window every single day, that means you have 1 hour to eat one meal a day. So you're eating one meal a day. Um, it's going to be very easy to satisfy yourself eating meat only. This is where I need you to know, common sense. One of the top things that I see happen that prevents weight loss and results is under eating. And I just want to give you a little heads up before it starts happening for you. Um, you can easily undereat on a carnivore diet when you keep your window to just 1 hour, one meal a day, every single day for a long period of time. Okay. So I want you to just be careful. How are your sugar cravings? That's always something to monitor. If your sugar cravings or junk food cravings start creeping in, that is one of the best signs to know I'm under eating. Let's bump it up to 2 meals a day. Let's reset the nourishment here and then go back to OMAD. Okay, so this is just some troubleshooting that I feel like is inevitable and it's probably going to happen if you don't know about it. Keep me posted. Edwin, welcome. What makes fish sushi grade or just able to be eaten raw? I just bought Alaskan salmon that was flash frozen. That's a great question. Eric, do you eat sashimi?
Uh, my wife steams it a little bit, and then she'll do her own seaweed wrap with it. But I don't really eat it raw, or I don't even mess with it. But I have gone to sushi restaurants. I've tried that, but I don't. Like I said, I don't prepare my own. I don't even know what flash frozen is.
Okay. Yeah, flash frozen is the moment it's caught, it is frozen to retain the freshness.
I
That
thought
is
that, but I
absolutely
didn't want to guess.
no worries. That's what we want, especially if we're going to eat fish raw. Now, for me, I would rather err on the side of caution than just be trusting of any and all high quality flash frozen seafood. So, me, when I go get sashimi or fish that I want to eat raw, I always ask the fish market butcher or whoever is selling it. I always ask, is it sashimi grade? Because it actually does make a difference. The cleanliness, the quality, the way that they catch it and then store it, it all matters to me. And I do not want any complications when I'm eating raw fish. And so that's why at high quality sashimi and Japanese restaurants, they are very meticulous at only choosing sashimi grade fish to serve you fresh raw at their restaurant. I would like to maintain that quality when I'm eating at home because I think why not, right? Better to be careful. So I always ask, is it sashimi grade? And they usually say it is or it is not. Okay, sorry. Good boy. Okay.
Ah,
Oh, he wants
hey,
to chime in. What's
is that
going on?
right?
Okay. And
He
let's
doesn't
go to
like
the
he
next
doesn't like
question.
salmon talk.
I think he's hearing footsteps upstairs. But why don't you take this, Eric, and I'll be right back. Jonna says, I recently started carnivore again. I've been thinking about limiting dairy to reduce inflammation in my stomach and joints. Which is the most inflammatory dairy, Eric? I'll be back.
Yeah, I would say pasteurized dairy and cow. I got a buddy that recently just dropped dairy out of his diet, and he introduced it again after about a week, and he instantly started runny nose. He was stuffy. So I would say anything pasteurized, you're going to probably have an issue with, as if you're already having any kind of inflammation in your joints and stuff. So my wife and I, we try to get as much raw as we can, the raw cheeses, pay a little more, just eat a little bit less of it. That's what we try to do, you know. But
Fantastic. Jonna, I would say raw milk. Sorry, not raw milk. This is the order of most inflammatory to least: pasteurized milk, pasteurized cream, pasteurized cheese, pasteurized yogurt, pasteurized kefir. And then the least inflammatory is pasteurized butter. That is the order right there. All right, Aurelia, I'm 245 pounds. I want to start carnivore. What do you suggest for a bigger, I'm guessing she wants to say person? So, what are your tips, Eric? You lost so much weight yourself, 100 plus pounds. What are your tips?
I had to give in to a little bit of craving, so I learned how to make my own fat bombs. Right, that was one of the biggest things I learned to do. And it was my own almond butter. Even though it's later on, you get off the almond butter, but at this point, I needed something right to get me from Reese's and peanut butter cups or whatever into this new world. Um, you got to keep the stuff out of the house. You got to keep the chips out. Get your pork rinds in there. You know, cream cheese as your dips. I mean, I used to just try to give myself another way to supplement those craving times. And then I worked on meal prepping for me personally, like don't eat after 7 or don't eat after 5. And, but I had to get the stuff out of the house and give me something else to go to that was satisfying. And it worked out. A scoop of almond butter right out of the freaking jar with a spoon. Sometimes that was enough to hold me from calling Domino's Pizza. Right. So, little things add up and then over time.
I love what you said. I want to tell you guys watching this live stream, if you are new to a carnivore community, you will notice that some comment sections, some corners of the internet, there are carnivore police. Don't mind the carnivore police. They are everywhere and they are very mean. They can be very mean. So I want you guys to know that if you're struggling with sugar cravings and you need to enjoy some fat bombs with some allulose in it, or my yogurt cake sprinkled with allulose on top, right? This is why I make these types of recipes, because I understand how difficult and impossible a strict carnivore diet can be when you're doing it for the first time ever. It's just not easy. There's going to be the unicorns who can go from vegan to carnivore without any issues. I'm talking about myself. I'm not complimenting myself. I was able to do it because I was so sick of being sick. I was so tired of feeling like crap. And I felt like crap for 6 years. So I kind of had this fire behind my booty to like motivate me to do it. But some people, they just want to lose weight and feel better. They just want to heal minor issues. Then sometimes that's not enough of a why to go strict carnivore and stick to it when you're so new. Okay. So, Aurelia, I think that is a fantastic tip from Eric. I think you should enjoy all of the things that carnivore offers. Do not limit the dairy. And if you need that sweetness, let's say you do have sugar cravings, you're craving your favorite cupcake or cookies, guess what? I have a carnivore version recipe on my YouTube channel already. I can guarantee it. Just check out my playlist. If you don't mind just putting that in the chat. It should also be linked down below in the description box, but I've got a whole playlist of recipes. So great tip there. JC wants to know, what is the best half and half milk for coffees? I'll take this. Anything that's raw is going to be the best bet for anything dairy, raw unpasteurized. If not that, then just any brand that has minimal ingredients. We do not want any carob gum, guar gum. We just want the pure ingredients. What is your tip?
I get
Go
heavy
ahead.
cream. It's an organic Valley heavy cream in a little yellow quart size, and it's the one that has I think like
Nice.
5 or 6 grams of fat in it. It's a little more fat, and yeah, it's pasteurized, but at least it's a better option if you can't get to a grass-fed farm or get your raw milk or something like that. But that's what I use.
Perfect. Love it. Jessica, 1 to 1.5 pounds, but wondering if it isn't enough because I lost my period. Ooh, I love this type of topic because I fixed this myself for my own body. So I'm very passionate about just bringing back the period. because it's doable, it's possible, and all you have to do is eat more fat, more meals throughout the day. Jessica, I challenge you to aim for 2 pounds. Not too difficult. It's just zero point 0.5 more. Aim for 2 pounds. Next week, I want you to come back to my live stream and tell me how it went. And we can troubleshoot from there. Okay. But I just want you to focus on one thing: eat more meals, eat more in general. You can do it. Happiness. Do you monitor your macronutrient intake or do you eat intuitively until you feel satiated, Eric?
In the beginning, I was like everybody else. I had my app, carb app, that I tracked everything, scanned everything, and to make sure I was counting my carbs and I had the right percentage of fat and everything right. And then after about a month or two, I was pretty much, I stopped with the ketone strips. I stopped measuring. I kind of understood at that point how and what my body and when my body needed to eat. So then intuitively, it was just, I ate enough meat till I felt full, push it away, no more desserts after dinner, unless I had a little fat mom later on, because I was a fast food and a TV dinner kid. So we always had those little freaking toxic cakes at the end of the tinfoil that I was eating. Oh, it's crazy.
I get it. It's just so everyday and it's so part of the norm that we don't even double guess or think about it twice. Dessert after every single meal is not necessary, as shocking as it is. And this is the power of creating new habits and new routines. And once it sticks, it is now your new reality. And that's what I want for each of you guys trying to get healthy and look amazing, feel amazing with the carnivore diet. It actually requires work. It's not an overnight miracle thing that will just give you the results without any work. Now, the hard work is in the consistency part. So, to answer this question, I don't track. That's one of the things that I let go of for good after going carnivore. I promised myself, okay, day one of carnivore is the first day of my life where I will no longer step on the scale. I will no longer track calories on a stupid app. And I will no longer focus on any numbers and allow it to rule my mood. Okay. And ever since that day one, I have felt so free and I just eat when hungry and I stop when I'm full. It has served me so well. Christian wants to know, would you say there is a big difference between raw versus cooked meat on strict carnivore, like healing wise? Christian, I love this question. Fantastic. I love how in tune you are with these types of details. There is a whole movement out there on the internet called the raw carnivore movement. And sometimes I will film videos of myself eating my raw carnivore foods. I am not a pure raw carnivore. I'm more of a cooked carnivore. Like 99% of the time, I'm eating cooked carnivore foods. But I love raw sashimi. I mean, sashimi is raw fish. I love eating raw meat every now and again. It's called beef carpaccio, beef tartare. It is so good. And so I just want you guys to eat the foods that make you happy. I want you to eat the carnivore foods that you crave for, that you find delicious and appealing, and that is how you will achieve the healing that you need. There's always room for troubleshooting, experimenting, trying out different modalities, but the most important thing for if you're new or newer is you got to make sure you're fat adapted. You have to make sure these habits stick. Don't even think about raw carnivore. Don't even think about lion diet until you are in the groove with this carnivore diet. But I think raw carnivore is great. I see a lot of fantastic carnivores who are purely raw, like they only eat raw meat every day, every meal. And they are some of the most beautiful, healthy, vibrant people I have ever seen. So I'm sure it does something to your health next level. But I just can't do it. I need my Sears, you know?
Medium
What do you
rare
think?
carnivore. I'm a medium rare carnivore, pretty much.
Medium raw. Yeah, half raw, halfway. Okay.
Oh, there it
Hello,
is.
Emlo. Oh, do you eat raw? Yep, we already answered this. Square one. Have been on the carnivore diet for a month. Beef, chicken, pork, eggs, and butter. After transitioning from keto, meals keep kicking me out of ketosis. Could I be having too much protein? Okay, so this topic we get like every single week. Being in ketosis, tracking the ketones,
Right?
making
Yeah.
sure that it's so this is a headache that I feel like can be forgotten again until you're fat adapted, until you are in the groove, and until carnivore is just your new reality. And that's why I have coaches who know how to troubleshoot these types of things. I have doctors who know how to diagnose and help you with these types of things. Just not today in the live stream. Today it's my guest Eric and myself. And we don't care about numbers, unfortunately. So square one, we can't help you too much with this one. But if you're consistently being kicked out of ketosis, instead of decreasing the protein, I want you to increase the fat. It is possible that you're not eating enough fat to support your body to be in ketosis. I would rather that you up the fat first before decreasing the protein. Okay, so come back on Friday when I have Dr. Phil and we can troubleshoot further. Okay, Christian, someone on meat only carnivore diet, what should they cook their meat with? What do you cook your meat with, Eric?
We use depends if we're going to cook something really hot. We use avocado oil or something like that. And for the most part, we use a lot of ghee butter. But we don't really cook with it. She'll put a little scoop in it with eggs. If she's going to over easy or something like that, and put it on the sourdough she makes. But yeah, it's either ghee, maybe tallow. She's not too big on the pork. I am, but she's not, so I can't cook with it. So yeah, that's what we use. Those three: ghee, avocado, and obviously the tallow.
Love that.
So
Oh, I love that. I do butter. I do raw butter, pasteurized butter, but I actually save my raw butter to eat just straight out of the packaging. I save my pasteurized butter as cooking oil. I think the best cooking oil ever is tallow because tallow doesn't burn. It has a really high smoke point. And the beauty with tallow is that it's such a neutral, non existent flavor that it won't mess up whatever recipe you're cooking, you
I
know?
rub it on my skin when I'm cooking burgers, and it pops up. I'm just rubbing it
Yeah,
right in, man. It's awesome.
it really is the best moisturizer, too. Agreed. Okay. Do you put egg yolks in your coffee, Eric?
I just had this discussion with your assistant before the show that somebody was talking about
Oh,
putting their yolk in there, but I did the whole egg. So when I did my frother, I made scrambled eggs in my coffee. I didn't know it just to do the yolk. So that's a tip I've just learned.
there you go. Yeah. When I want a bit of a fatty, like a latte, a foamy latte, but
Mm,
without all the junk and the sugar, I promise you guys, egg yolk is going to give you the most whipped, foamy, creamy latte ever without the creamer, the sugar, or any dairy. You could just do egg yolk and coffee, maybe a dash of salt. Oh, so good. I learned this from Dr. Bright. I have a whole video on it. Princess Jasmine, welcome. I've lost inches from my arms, legs, neck, shoulders, but the fat around my tummy isn't going anywhere. My face also looks a bit inflamed. Carnivore since mid June. I would love to troubleshoot this for you, Jasmine. So, if you're losing weight everywhere except for the tummy, I wonder if maybe you have a little bit of bloat or indigestion going on. But it is also true that for specific women, the midsection fat and the midsection weight that we're carrying is the last to go.
go.
Every
Yeah.
woman that I yeah, every woman that I speak to has one specific problem area that likes to hold on to the fat the longest. For me, it's my thighs, and my face just loves retaining water, retaining weight. It's the first place to show it, and it's the last place to go. So every person is different. And so I don't want you to lose hope just because of these things. Keep going. Keep
Yeah.
doing what you're doing because it's already working with the rest of your body. The face, sometimes the inflammation and water weight will also be the last to go. I just want you to stick to it. Maybe play around with cutting out the dairy. Okay? Let me know. Keep me posted. Mo, welcome. Why do carnivores struggle with their sleep? I used to sleep all the night through when eating carbs. Almost a year into carnivore, and I'm only able to sleep 5 hours. Eric, did you ever struggle with sleep?
I determined that I had to bring in naps into my day because now that I'm like a cat now, like a carnivore, I don't need to sleep for 7, 8 hours unless I've hiked all day or really exhausted myself. I'm not a little kid growing as I sleep. So what I do is I'll end up getting up early, 5, 6 hours of sleep, pretty energized, but then I crash later in the day, that typical crash. And then I'll take a little 30-minute nap, man. It's great, just like a cat.
I love that. Here's another question that I'm so excited to ask. I love it when sleep is asked and it's brought up in these live streams because I really want to know. Everyone watching, please comment your answer. Do you find that you need less sleep to function, to feel well rested, to be productive? Do you find you need less sleep after going carnivore? Or do you find that you need about the same sleep to feel well rested? Or do you find currently you are needing more sleep than ever to feel well rested and productive in the day? So let me know your answers. I'll let it come like flow in. For me, though, I've noticed I need less and less and less sleep now that I'm 6.5 years in. I'm actually more closer to 7 years. So 7 years will be top of next year. So I'm basically 7 years. I noticed with each new year, I just don't need as much sleep. Let me give you guys a clear perspective here. My first year of carnivore, though, I was needing more sleep than ever. I actually needed to sleep longer than I ever needed to in my entire life. Before going carnivore, I was sleeping anywhere from like 8 hours to 9 hours. I typically just need a lot of sleep. When I went carnivore, my first entire year, I felt like I needed 10 to 11 hours to feel well rested. Why is this? It's not just me. People who have a lot to heal, people who don't have their period, people who may be restricted for way too long, people who used to be vegan, just people who are malnourished in general. When you start eating more, you start nourishing your body for the first time in a long time. Your body just wants to repair, it just wants to recover. And so, therefore, it just wants to rest and sleep more. So, I don't ever want you guys to feel like, oh, carnivore's not working. I'm not getting the fantabulous results like everyone else. I am actually feeling lazier. No, I want you guys to see it like this. Your body is finally healing. It finally is given the opportunity to repair, to restore, to make sure your organs are up to par and able to function again, to repair your hormones. There's so much that needs to be repaired when we are living in a world like we are today. Stress coming at us every day, all day, from all directions. You know, it's inevitable these days. The cortisol spikes, the trends that we feel like we have to do that only wreck our hormones more. I want you guys to slow down. Okay. So if you want to sleep more, Mo, please sleep more. I see too many carnivores say that they need to sleep more to heal, and then slowly, the sleep gets less and less, and they start getting that energy, which is where I'm at. Like I literally have to stand up. I cannot sit down right now because I am so energetic, and
Well,
that's the beauty of the carnivore.
I
Yeah.
was going to say my testosterone went from 390 in 2019 to almost 800 since I've been carnivore 5 years. And one of the things I tell
Wow.
people, not only am I resting and repairing, my body wants to reproduce. So that's one of the things I have as this energy level. And I think that's why I get up early, because if we were in nature, we'd be on the hunt, not only for animals, but for a mate, right? So my poor wife is having to push me off all the time, because I'm howling or I'm like the rooster. Either way, I'm
Oh,
coming at her. So that's another benefit, and, you know,
yes. It's a nice problem to have, to feel like an energizer bunny all the time. And I also want to share that another huge sign of health is your libido. Okay. I feel like we don't talk about it enough. And just as someone who's younger, I guess, and I'm a new wife, I've been married for a year now. And yes, I do want to have children down the line. Fertility and libido is absolutely a huge marker of whether or not you're healthy. If you have low to zero libido and you don't want to do any of it, or you just don't feel like you have a regular painless cycle as a woman, these are things that I feel like are red flags. And the first thing that one needs to do is focus on nutrition. So, um, hey, tell me, guys, how is your libido after going carnivore? Healthy? Non existent? Better? Worse? Feel free to share if you feel comfortable. This is not something that's inappropriate. It is so appropriate when we're talking about health, longevity, happiness, diet, nutrition. So if you guys want to share, I would love to know. Okay, Christy, keto rash. Do bile salts help with keto rash? I get very itchy when I do keto, not even carnivore. Did you ever struggle with keto rash, Eric?
I would say keto is a broad spectrum, so I would really be looking at what type of keto you're having and what those ingredients are. That's another reason to go pure carnivore, right? You know, you get off the other stuff. It's a great elimination diet, and you can add stuff in there, and you can pretty much narrow in what is this coming from, you know. And
Yes. Okay. Well, that's a good point. And then for Christy, who has keto rush like right now, uh, sometimes with keto rush, you can avoid it and you can not have to suffer as much if you were to just do a slow transition. This is the whole thing that Sally Norton teaches and talks about. I do recommend you check out Sally Norton, Christy. She has lots of YouTube videos. She has a phenomenal book. Oxalate dumping is what she teaches. And she teaches that when you cut out all of the problematic foods, the high oxalate foods, for example, spinach, kale, sweet potatoes, chia seeds, all nuts. When you cut those types of foods out or you eat less of it, your body wants to dump it out. And skin itchiness, skin irritation, the first place that oxalates want to come out of is the skin, believe it or not. So that's why I think about this first when I read your comment, Christy. I wonder if you could just take a couple steps back and just do a slower transition rather than cold turkey. Another thing that really soothes skin, because I battled with eczema my whole life, is tallow. Eric brought this up. He rubs it on his skin whenever he cooks with it. Well, did you know that tallow is the closest thing to our natural skin oil? So the oil and the liquid or whatever the film that our skin naturally produces to protect our layer, the top layer of the epidermis, it is the most similar to beef tallow. So anytime I have community members in the steak and butter gang or DMs asking, I have eczema, I have a rash, I have itchy symptoms, coat some tallow on it. It's like a soothing balm, a protective film. That's something that could give you immediate relief. Let us know how it goes, please. Jonna, what do you all think about meat, like a deer, reindeer, and
reindeer.
moose? Are they as good and can you eat them raw? Have you ever tried it, Eric?
I haven't eaten that raw, but I've had definitely deer. I haven't eaten a reindeer yet. I keep waiting on Christmas to catch one. But the moose, I haven't had any moose either. And I don't know
Yeah.
if I had to, if I was out there in the wild and I killed my first moose, I think I would honor it by eating a little raw meat from it. But other than that, I'm not experienced. I'm not man enough for that question.
Oh, no worries. And it's also harder to get. It's not as available in grocery stores. But I have tried deer. I think I tried it in Montana. But I just remember it was a bit gamey and it was certainly a little too lean for my taste. I find that wild game are just leaner in fat content for sure. But if this is the type of meat that excites you and makes you happy and it's delicious, I think it's a fantastic meat choice. All three. Okay, Jonna? And can you eat them raw? I mean, if you want, just make sure it's high quality if you can and it's fresh. Jonathan, is it possible to heal spider veins on the face through diet? What can I do? Wow. Okay, Jonathan, I have had many, many members. I do victory calls every week in the Steak and Butter Gang. So I am getting a real time report of all the types of healing going on with the carnivore diet, at least within my group. And multiple times now, I have had members report my spider veins are gone, my varicose veins are gone, but it's typically on the legs of my members. I've actually never heard it on the face, but I've heard it before. So I hope that gives you hope and definitely give a carnivore diet a shot. Okay, keep us posted. CA, is it healthy for young children to eat carnivore? Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, my kids are more ketovores. They, like I said, homemade sourdough bread, blueberries, strawberries, some raw honey. You know, they do a little bone broth in the morning with some tea and some other concoction my wife does. But yeah, they don't. I wouldn't say they're 100% carnivore, but they do eat mostly meat, animal-based diet, and they don't do the junk foods and the sodas and any of that crap. It's pure water with minerals in it. And if it's a treat, it's milk on top of the blueberries when they're frozen. It turns it into like this little ice cream thing that they love to death. So
I love that. I think ketovore is very suitable for kids as opposed to strict carnivore because kids are can be picky. Kids thrive on exciting variety. They love little mini bite-sized creative things. So if ketovore serves your kids, it's still 1,000 times better than a standard American diet. So we're just looking for progress here, not perfection. Buddy says, I don't mind cooking with butter, but I am not a fan of eating lots of butter. What is an alternative? I'll take this. So, Buddy, I know that when you look at my videos and when you see me with my plates of food, there's always a ton of butter. And I think I'm just known for my sticks and blocks of butter. I mean, come on, I'm steak and butter gal. Butter for my personal journey has been uh, absolutely crucial. I find that I can only thrive on a high fat carnivore diet, a high fat carnivore diet. But I don't feel like this is a requirement for every single person, especially not for gentlemen. So if you're a guy, your requirement for fat is actually lower than a woman. You can get away with less fat. But if you just find butter disgusting, and you still do want to give a high fat carnivore approach a try, I recommend browning butter. It's called brown butter bites. Okay. I actually have a recipe in my playlist if you want to check it out. It's the carnivore chocolate video. Brown butter bites is basically you take your favorite butter, you brown it so it gets a little bit caramel like, a little bit spiced on the bottom. You'll see little brown bits. You pour that liquid into chocolate molds. You freeze it overnight and then you eat it like carnivore chocolate. It is delicious. It adds this flavor and this sweetness almost and a depth that does make it better than butter. Okay, better than butter.
Better than
If
butter.
you don't, yeah, if you don't like butter, you don't have to eat butter like me. You can also just eat fatty meats. You can make fatty sauces, delicious fatty sauces, and dip your favorite meats in the fatty sauce to up the fat. There's many hacks. Let me ask a favor of everyone watching, okay? For all of my high fat carnivores, or for everyone who does enjoy fattier dips, fat bombs, what is your favorite tip slash recipe to eat more fat? Basically, how do you eat more fat? What are your tips? Drop it in the comments. I learned so much from this community. It's amazing. Okay, this is the last question we will end with. Olivia, welcome. Is powdered milk pasteurized or not? Typically, powdered milk will be pasteurized, unfortunately. Let me just do one more.
Okay.
I'm on blood pressure meds. Do I need to watch my salt intake? Ooh, Eric, have you noticed any changes to your blood pressure? Do you measure that stuff?
I don't really measure the blood pressure or my salt after I went carnivore. I stopped, like you said, I gave up reading a lot of that stuff and just went based on how I felt. Leg cramps, probably need more magnesium, potassium. There were some
I love that.
easy tips that I followed. And yeah, I've been very blessed. I don't have to worry about my blood pressure.
Beautiful and good for you. That's the way that I like to hear it is just it naturally went away. You didn't have to focus on it. There was no obsessing necessary. So typically with carnivores, they need more salt than ever. They do. They just do. Electrolytes, high quality salts, you name it, it is quite necessary for when you're newer to carnivore. So if you're new, guys, I do want you to focus on salting generously on all of your carnivore
Yeah.
meals, please.
Keep
Okay.
some rock
And if
rock salt around too. Just throw that in,
yes,
and it's great.
eat the rock salt like candy. Take some high quality supplements. Make sure it's raw, unflavored. I don't love the flavored ones. It just causes sugar cravings. So be on top of the electrolytes and salt and let the rest of the healing do its thing naturally on its own time. We don't need to obsess. So I saw a question asking about the group that I talk about. This is the steak and butter gang. Okay. When I say SBG, the group, my community, I'm talking about the steak and butter gang. Now, I created this group 5 years ago. Okay. And I did it because I was lonely in the middle of the pandemic. I was trapped in a tiny apartment in New York. That's where I was when that happened. And I was lonely, but at the same time, I was experiencing incredible, miraculous healing from a carnivore diet. And I couldn't shut up about it. So I just had to connect with people. And to this day, we are still helping so many people start carnivore, continue carnivore, and get to their goals with a carnivore diet. So I just want you to know this is always an option for support for anyone who needs it. I get it. Free videos on YouTube is just sometimes not enough. You just want more guidance. This is where it's at. I bring on Sally Norton, Dr. Baker, Dr. Chafee. My coaches are phenomenal Dr. Bright, Dr. Ovadia, just anyone that the community wants. I try my best to bring on so that they can talk to you live and answer your questions. There's so much more to it, but I don't want to ramble here. The Steak and Butter Gang is linked down below. And also, Eric, I would love to give you a free link to be a part of the community if you want. I think your story is incredible. Would love to have you in the group. Do you have a group?
Yeah, I got a little group on like Facebook. It's the Keto 50 group, a bunch of cops, but it
Oh
actually
my
it's
God.
expanded to family and friends. So it's not on your level. It's my own little nest egg. It's doing great though.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. I will
But
make sure to link the group as well.
I was gonna say I do run a nonprofit, Cops and Campers, that helps promote metabolic health with first responders. And Dr. Kiltz has been blessing us the last 2 years of showing up and helping us and getting the guys to find the carnivore way of life. So this community's been
Wow.
healing, not just, first responders, but it's helping in a lot of other people, of course. But let me say the vets and the first responders are really starting to take a notice of this and what it
Wow.
does for our brains and what it can do for our relationships and how to deal with some of the traumas. And it can help you too. So it's amazing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Eric's links, his group, everything to connect with Eric is linked down below in the description box already. I double checked here. And I just want to thank you for all that you do for first responders, for all of those people, for changing their lives and for helping them heal and achieve better mental health. So thank you for all you do, Eric, and thank you for being my guest today.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next time in the next live stream. Bye.